Alright, so now we're going to be covering up 6 materials at the same time. And what are these 6 materials going to be? This is going to be your diffuse, your glossy, your metallic, your specular, plus your hair, and the biggest thing of all, the null material. And why do I say that the biggest thing? Because in cinematic renders, you always need fog. And what I've seen personally is when you use the null material to make fogs, it gives you a far better result as compared to adding in any other sort of material. So yeah, let's explore them individually. So starting off with our diffuse material over here, let's go into render view. It's a pretty basic material over here. We got the compatibility version, which is obviously the latest one that we're using, the diffuse color, the transmission, and which apparently doesn't work. I don't know why. Then we have the BSDF model, the roughness. Then we have the opacity, the medium, the bump, normal displacement, your run-of-the-mill stuff that we've already explored in the previous chapter. Coming towards the glossy one, almost the same things, but we have like a few things changed over here. Oh, and by default, the BSDF model for diffuse actually comes in Labyrinth. What I would advise, keep everything on Octane if you have a good PC to get the best results possible ASAP. But there are like a few key features that are changed. Like over here, we just have roughness, but over here, we actually have roughness, anastrophe, rotation, and spread. Now, basically, anastrophe, rotation, and spread, these are actually a combination that you need to use to make like a cut metal sort of a look, like the one with circles on aluminum, that sort of a look. And we also have thin film over here if you want to add that. I mean, it's not quite visible on this material. And we also have sheen if we want to add in like a sheen layer, let's say like red. I mean, we could barely see it. So let me just turn it off. Then we have index of refraction over here. Then we also have caustics. We have our opacity and your run of the mill stuff like bump, normal, displacement, these things. Now coming towards the metallic one. Over here, we could obviously a big difference. Like as soon as we go towards like that, the materials start getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So we started with the diffuse, then we came towards the glossy one. Now the metallic one is a bit bigger. Why? Because it has more things. And in the metallic one, over here we have the compatibility version, the diffuse color, the specular color, edge tint, specular map, and the BSDF model type. Now coming towards the BRDF model. So it's basically the same thing with like BSDF, but for like refraction. So I put it on Octane, but hey, if you guys wanna decrease your render times, just put it to GGX energy preserve, you'll get the same thing. Then we have roughness with all of the anastrophe, rotation, and spread. Then the IOR. We've already explored this in the universal one. So you can either go for an artistic look, IOR plus color, which gives you accurate colors according towards the index of refraction of any sort of metallic object. And we also have a third option in here called RGB IOR that I have not explored yet, but I'm going to be making a video soon on it as soon as I explore it. Then we have caustics over here. Then the sheen, thin film, opacity, and your regular stuff like your bump, normal displacement, round edges, those sort of stuff. Alright, coming towards specular now. In specular, the first thing that we see is the compatibility version. We're obviously going to be using the latest one. Now, there are two things that pop out immediately: reflection and transmission. What does that mean? So, let's say if I want my reflections to be a yellow color, but I want the glass color to be blue. You see, you could easily do that with this one material. And then we got all of these things, the roughness, if you want to go for like a little bit of frosted glass look. Then we have the IOR, so we could play around with that as well. Then we have caustics. If we want like a shot with caustics, we could always enable caustics. Thin film, we also got that. Transmission, and we also have medium over here. So if we want to add in like volume into it, we could easily do that. And then opacity. Now, this is the part that we need to pay attention to. Fake shadows and alpha. So, fake shadows and alpha, this basically thins up your glass a bit, so light could probably pass through, and the shadow shouldn't be like too harsh. And also, thin wall, pretty explanatory what it does. It just thins out the whole glass. Then we have the bump, normal displacement, and your run of the mill stuff. So, let me just de isolate it. Then we have our hair texture over here. Now, putting it on a sphere might not do it justice, but I did it for a reason. Over here in the hair material, what do we have? We have the diffuse and the diffuse color. So, what can we do with it? Let's say if we just add in a noise texture over here. We could give the hair any sort of texture that we want. Let's say we like that. And over here in our diffuse color, if I just add in an RGB color and put it to red, we got that. Now for the albedo, we could add in another layer. I'll just duplicate this and turn it to, let's say, pinkish. Plug it in towards the albedo. And for the specular one, I could just duplicate it and let's say I turn it to blue. Crazy color scheme, not realistic, but hey, it is what it is. I mean, that's all really good. We got a cool hair texture. But what are these things? Melanin, phenylalanine, what do they do? Well, if we come down over here to specular color mode, it's actually set on albedo right now. The same sort of way that we used these textures over here to make this color, what we could do is come over here to melanin plus phenylalanine, and we could just take these sliders and get our desired results. Obviously, you'll have to play around with them just to get the result that you're looking for, but hey, there's an option. So let me just reset them. And we have IOR for the hair because it's pretty much like a glass. Then we have roughness. Randomize frequency is to randomize the whole texture a bit. Random offset if you want to just take it and just move it a little bit. And random albedo if you want to add in like an extra color. Then we have priority, obviously we're not going to be touching that. Then we have opacity and emission. Let's say if you want like glowing hair or like glowing fur on any sort of object, you could always plug in something over here. Now coming towards the null material. And as soon as you guys see it, you're like, dude, that's just an outline. Where's the material? So here it is. Pretty simple. And what do you get? You get the medium, opacity, effect alpha, displacement. That's it. And why do I use this material in almost every render or animation that I do? Because of this. If I just add in like a random walk texture over here, put it to 0.1, put this to 1000, or even like 0.5 so you could see better. I mean, dude, I pretty much got a volume right now and I could place it wherever I want. And let's say by any chance I want to change it up a little bit, what I could do is just add in a noise texture. I'll take fractal noise for now, plug it in towards the opacity, and boom. I mean, it's that simple. So yeah, this is why I use the null material a lot in my renders. Okay, so let's do a quick recap. What did we just learn? So in this chapter, we actually took a look at the 6 materials that actually combine to make the universal material. And what we did was we briefly explored them and we saw how they work. And obviously, we're going to be using the universal material more than these materials. But it's good to know how do these other nodes work. So yeah, in the next chapter, we're going to be exploring layers. So yeah, buckle up for that as well.